From the alley-oops at Kezar to the glory days at the stick. From who's got it better than us to brick by brick. It's always the 49ers way. From off-season to game day. Yeah, we talk back. It's the 49ers Cutback.
It's 49ers Cutback Podcast time, and it's time to talk about linebackers. You know what? We got some pretty good linebackers, a lot of depth as well at this position. This is going to be a fun conversation to have, breaking down the linebackers, because there's a lot of good players and a lot of great plays to see.
Yeah, they definitely have one of the top groups in the league here at linebacker on the 49ers. They bring back Quan, they'd have the best. But
ooh, I like it. Hot boys!
Besides that, they have their starting set of their main two of Dre Greenlaw and Fred Warner is one of the best pairings in the entire league, with Fred Warner possibly being the best linebacker in the entire league. It's pretty hard to dispute. I know it goes between him and Leonard.
Darius Leonard, yeah.
Darius Leonard on the Colts is what most people feel. It's one of those two, and I agree those two are pretty much cut above the rest. Kind of same thing as Kittle and Kelsey.
A lot of names on that list, and before we get started, make sure you hit that like button right now. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and let's dive into the film. And let's start with the guy that Horst brought up, might be the best linebacker in all of football, Frederick Warner.
Nobody does what Fred Warner does, in my opinion. The play recognition, this is him playing off a block and making a tackle. It's great. He sheds it, makes the play. Not every linebacker can cover sideline to sideline like he can, but he pulls strings like nobody else. He knows exactly what's coming. Look at the way he focuses in, and now he knows exactly where he's going. He gets downhill, gets to where he needs to be, and makes the tackle. It's fantastic play. Almost every single play you see Fred Warner, he's making a great play, a great read. Really solid player, and he can do it all. This is him blitzing and ending up getting to the quarterback. How many guys can do what he can do, blitzing, in coverage, and in the run game? That's why he's elite. He is the epitome of what you want from a linebacker in the NFL.
Yeah, I think what's crazy is while his strength is probably coverage, his strongest point, he is probably a top 3 linebacker, top 4 linebacker in the NFL at every type of discipline, playing linebacker. Stopping the run, pre-reads, reading the play, understanding who's getting the ball, coverage. He doesn't really have a weakness.
Yeah, I mean, that's 100% accurate. There really isn't any holes in this game, and it's crazy to think that this guy was a former kind of safety in college. That's kind of what his niche and his role was. He wasn't really a linebacker. Yeah, there were times he played in the box in college, but he was a safety at BYU. He's come in and taken a complete 180 turn in terms of what he can do and playing a middle linebacker position. Not an outside linebacker, a middle linebacker. And I can't believe it. There were people actually labeling him as an outside linebacker.
Yeah.
Bleacher Report had talked about outside linebacker Fred Warner. This guy's a bona fide middle linebacker, making calls, making reads, covering sideline to sideline at an elite level, being a force in the run game, being a force as a pass rusher. He does it all. He does it all on an elite level. The Niners got a steal with this guy where they got him in the draft. Man, you can't say enough about Shanahan and Lynch. Their eye for talent, what they've been able to do, the defense, D'Amico Ryans, what he's been able to do. This is the pairing that I'm most excited for, a D'Amico Ryans-led defense with Fred Warner. He knows how this guy ticks. He knows how he operates. He's going to be able to put him in even better positions than a guy like Robert Saleh was able to because he works with him on a day-in, day-out basis.
Yeah, Fred Warner is an elite player, and every single play, he lines up and knows what is coming. I mean, it's almost every single play you see the recognition from him. He is able to anticipate from formation, from personnel groupings, what plays you're going to see. He's able to cut off route combinations because he understands them, especially being a former safety, like you talked about. So there is a lot of upside and things that he does better than everyone else because of the cerebral aspect of his game. And that's really what takes him to the next level. You combine that with the fact that he's a sure tackler, somebody that's fast enough to run sideline to sideline, to cover guys one-on-one in space, which was something that Patrick Willis really did well. Mm-hmm. This guy does a lot of things at an elite level that not very many people can do even very well. And that's why he is the best linebacker in the NFL, like Horst said. And that's why he leads this team, and he is the bona fide star that is going to pull all the strings and make sure the 49ers do everything that they need to do, be in the right sets and be in the right looks. He does it all, and I mean, really, he's the reason why. I can't even tell you how bad this team would be without him. He would be hard to play without because the cerebral aspect. Not so much the physical gifts, which are awesome, but the cerebral part of it.
That's fair.
Yeah, I think you guys all saw the drop-off after Patrick Willis and Navarro Bowman went down, 5, 6, 7 years ago, however long ago that was. And I think it would be a similar drop-off. Fred Warner went down and couldn't play. Fred Warner is very gifted. And my favorite play, it's coming up here, I saw it on there, is the one against the Rams where they're throwing just a little out route to the running back in the flats. And you can tell Jared Goff has thrown that pass 100 times in a game without anyone coming close to it by how lazily he threw it. And Fred Warner had studied his film. And as soon as he saw that running back go, he took off full speed. And if I remember correctly, that was a very close game, and that was a game-turning play.
It was right before halftime, and he made the play that put the 49ers ahead. And they took the lead, and they never turned back, and they won that game.
That's what Fred Warner does. The impact that he has on the field is incredible. And the next guy, too, has been slowly but surely working his way up in terms of his impact on the field. Dre Greenlaw has been a godsend for us, especially in the pass game. And he's a pretty gosh darn sure tackler as well. This guy's ceiling is, man, it is high. It's incredible how much he's developed in such a short amount of time, guys.
Yeah, you can see the development. I mean, look at him right there. He plays his position perfectly. The guy catches the ball underneath and he makes the tackle. And you see a lot of times him out in space being able to make tackles. Like that's Hopkins. And he's able to get him and throw him out of bounds and make the tackle. The sure tackle part is huge. That was the one thing that Greenlaw cleaned up compared to Quan Alexander. Quan Alexander missed a lot of tackles, and Dre Greenlaw doesn't miss tackles. He has gotten better and better in the pass game, the recognition. I'm sure a lot of that has to do with D'Amico Ryans. A lot of that has to do with Fred Warner. But the development is there. This guy is getting better and better every year. And Horst mentioned at the top of the show about this duo being one of the best in the NFL. It is, and they're going to start getting that recognition. We talk about All-Pro Fred. Now we need to talk about Pro Bowl Dre because it's coming. It's going to be a real thing. Once again, sideline speed right here, sideline to sideline. Not everybody can run down a running back, but he has the ability. They have two just dominant linebackers in the middle.
Yeah, Dre Greenlaw is one of those guys, 5th-round pick. You heard some things. Original draftings, people were that I read where people were kind of hinting that was a steal spot to get him, that he's a talented guy. And the reports out of camp were really good about him, that he was playing well. And I just remember we came home from practice. It was after Brookside. We came to your house, and we turned it on. It was probably like midway through the second quarter, the first preseason game that year. And then right after halftime, probably he went in. And we looked at each other. He was wearing a different number. I don't remember what it was. But we kind of both at the same time, oh my gosh, did you see that guy?
Yeah.
And then 2 plays later, boom, there he was again, another tackle for loss. And then, bat a pass down, it was like, who is that? Type of thing. And it's just from then on, he's hit the ground running. And he's been impressive since, I think he earned everyone's love with that stop against Jacob Hollister in 2019. To end his rookie season, get the Niners the first seed in the playoffs. But he actually probably played better last year, by himself than he did in 2019.
He stepped up definitely last year, especially towards the end of the year. He was having a little bit of a slow start at the beginning, but that whole team was having a slow start. It was a rough beginning of a 2020 campaign for the 49ers. He turned it around. The team turned it around a little bit. They had their moments. I'm really looking forward to seeing what Dre Greenlaw builds and adds on this year in 2021. Because if he can improve even more than he already has in the pass game, improves even more as a run stopper, and getting even more tackles for loss and having a bigger impact so it takes some of the pressure off of Fred Warner, this defense is going to go from being elite to dang near unstoppable. Good luck trying to push the ball. Good luck trying to extend drives. The 49ers are able to make moves and get stops on early downs, put you in deep 3rd and longs, 3rd and 10s, 3rd and 8s. Have fun trying to make and complete passes against Greenlaw and Warner. It's going to be difficult for you all year long. Now the question is can that third linebacker spot be shored up? And the first guy that we're going to talk about is Al-Shaair.
Yeah, the question is going to be who is that third guy? Horst brought up earlier about Quan, and Quan is teasing the brick-by-brick stuff on his workouts. We don't know what ultimately happens with that. But right now we got Al-Shaair. And Al-Shaair has been a developmental guy that's been with the 49ers, and he's gotten better and better every year. And just like that play right there, you see flashes of what he could possibly be. He's learning from these guys. He's not the same level of talent that the other two have. He doesn't have the same physical gifts that the other two have, but he is a very solid player. He's good in coverage, not great. He's good, and he is pretty much a good tackler. His angles sometimes could be better. He could also play off of blocks a lot better, shed blocks, get there when he needs to a little bit better. But he is a solid 3. I think he could push to get that third spot next to these guys, and I think the 49ers would be okay with that because of the development that he's had over the last couple years under DeMeco Ryans.
He's really made a name for himself. He's proved that he is an NFL football player. I really like Al-Shaair. I think that he's one of those guys you want on your team. Whether he's a starter or not, he's the high energy. He plays special teams if he's not starting, and runs down on kickoffs like his hair's on fire. He's just the kind of guy you want on your team.
He's a physical presence too. He plays with physicality. He is quick. He is speedy. The question is just can he handle an increased snap count and snap load? Can he make consistently good decisions and be in the places he needs to be to create stops? He's shown flashes. He's had moments where he's shown he can not only do it and be there, but have success. He just needs to put it together. This is his opportunity. This training camp, this preseason is going to be his chance to show that he can be a rotational linebacker and playing significant or decent good amount of snaps in the league. Whether or not he can actually physically do it is another question entirely. I have faith. I would feel a lot better if we could shore it up with a signing and another guy like a Quan, like Horst had brought up. K1 would do so much. Quan would do, excuse me, Tommy, I apologize. Quan would do so much for this defense and this linebacking core, especially if he can be healthy. I'm willing to give Shaair a chance and we're willing to give him a shot. But he's not the only name and the only guy on the current roster that could improve and bolster this linebacker room, because they did go out and make a signing and bring in Nathan Gerry.
Yeah, and before I start talking about Nathan Gerry, to your point about the snaps that Al-Shaair was making, you can leave it on the Gerry highlights, is that when it comes down to that position, it's probably going to be, 15-20% of the snaps?
Probably. Because
the amount of time the Niners are going to play in the nickel.
Yeah.
And if DeMeco Ryans has an idea to play a safety, in those roles, a lot of times, like we've talked about, it could be even less. So you could see this guy on the field 10 to 15% of the snaps. So it might not be a high priority for them to bring in somebody else. If they do it, then that'll show. Now, Nathan Gerry, he has some ability. Where he struggles a little bit is in the coverage area. He has a good feel in zone coverage, but if he ever gets matched up with a running back, that's where he's going to have issues. He can rush the passer, especially as a blitzing linebacker off the edge, especially when they go into that 5-5-1, the 5-1-5 that we've sort of started talking about as far as defenses. There are options for the 49ers to do with Nathan Gerry. Gerry can play. He's a good tackler, not a great tackler. I think I am more comfortable with Al-Shaair at the moment than I am with Nathan Gerry, but Gerry is somebody that is a veteran. He has good feel, and he could definitely come in there and win that job, especially on a limited percentage of snaps.
Yeah, Jerry's definitely a threat to take that job. To be honest, I didn't know who he was before they signed him. I've gone through and watched a lot of video of him. He's a pretty solid player. He's never going to be a Pro Bowler. He's never going to be, an all-pro type guy. But he's a very solid player. Him and Al-Shaair are actually pretty similar in that sense. That they're NFL players, but they're probably never going to be stars. That kind of thing. And they're both really good special teams players. Like you said, Jerry's not very... They both have their points where they struggle in coverage. Gerry seemed like a little bit better blitzer to me from the video I've watched. I don't know if you guys feel the same way.
Then Al-Shaair?
Yeah.
Yeah, he is.
Al-Shaair seems like a little bit more sure of a tackler than him, but it's pretty close. But it's definitely nice to have another veteran guy that's played in NFL football games out there. So now they have 4 of those guys to take the 3 spots. So that's always nice. So if someone does go down, we're not throwing in some corner we've never heard of for Miami to torch.
No, that's fair. Listen, I think that's the big thing with the Nathan Gerry signing that I like. It's a cheap option. It's a guy who's played in the league. He's got snaps. He's got reps. He understands the game. He understands how to diagnose, watch film, where to be, and where to put himself in positions. As a linebacker, that is half the battle. Half of the battle is putting yourself where you're supposed to be so you can make plays, and then the other half, obviously, making those plays. But you can't make the plays if you're not there. And you have to be able to be there. And Nathan Gerry does a decent job of getting himself in the right spot a good chunk of the time. Same like Shire. The big question is consistency. Can he consistently be in the right spot? Can he consistently make the plays? Can he consistently do the things he needs to do? I have faith that Nathan Gerry can. I have faith that Shire can. The question is how much are they on the field? How often are we asking them to have to do that?
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be very much, to be honest with you. I think some of the hybrid defensive style that they're going to employ with the abundance of safeties that they've brought in tends to signal that we're probably going to see a different type of role for that linebacker, and he's not going to see as much time on the field as people might think, especially the way the NFC West is built. That I think that is so many receivers on the field and single running back sets that it would tend itself to having less time in a base down set and more time with nickel coverage.
Very well could be the case.
Yeah, definitely. Just the way of football in general. I mean, you might need to run three backers a little more against Seattle. They do try to run the ball.
Yeah, but not with the fullback.
True.
And not very good.
Yeah. They doubled down on Chris Carson, so that's good.
That they did.
Yeah, I'd rather have Ben Carson.
Running the ball.
Yeah.
In the backfield.
I don't know if he was a good running back.
I don't know.
Carson Palmer.
Totally Carson Palmer. Yeah, no, that's agreed there. Yeah. Next up, Demetrius Flanagan-Foles. Okay. A lot of special teams clips here, isn't there, Horst?
Yeah, there are, because he didn't play very much on normal downs.
No, he didn't.
But he played high effort, good special teams from watching the videos. He's an athletic guy, another guy making the switch that was more of a strong safety at University of Arizona.
True.
Believe it or not, I remember this guy in college. He made a lot of plays when he would play against USC. Their team wasn't very good, but he was a good player. And he's one of those guys, he's got to the Niners undrafted, made plays in the preseason at practice, busted his backside on special teams, and now he finds himself on the roster. I don't think he has a very open lane to playing more than on special teams. But, hey, if he can stay in the NFL playing special teams, a lot of money.
Well, the one thing that came out of training camp last year was how high they were on this guy.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that D'Amico Ryans is high on him means he has an opportunity to make the roster, to make the team. The thing that will help him is the special teams. Because if you're choosing between, him and like a Nathan Gerry, and you think that Flanagan-Foles is going to help you more on special teams, do you go that route? Because you don't know how much time these other guys are going to have.
Accurate.
But I do think that they have made sure that they have an extra guy. That's why they brought in Gerry, to make sure they have a guy that could possibly beat out Shire and beat out Flanagan-Foles. I don't know if Flanagan-Foles has an actual opportunity to win that third job. I think Al Shire is the leader in the clubhouse, and then you have the other two guys that are battling for it. It depends on how much Flanagan-Foles has changed his body. He's continued to get bigger, how much stronger he gets, and how much he's picked up this defense. If he can develop, preseason will be big for him, and seeing how he plays and how he's able to operate in this defense, because we haven't got to see a lot of it. And I think that if we got to see more, we'd have a better idea of who he is as a player. But until then, we just got to kind of go off what we've seen so far, and I would think he's the fifth option right now.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Fifth option, and if he's going to make this roster and have an opportunity to play, it's going to be in that special teams area. He's going to have to carve out and continue to carve out his role there and make himself not expendable on special teams. That's going to be the big thing. For a guy like him to be able to stick on a roster and not be able to see the field in terms of downs and snaps on defense, he's going to have to make himself non-expendable in the special teams aspect right now. Price-wise right now on the rookie contract, good money. If you can have a guy like this not pay him a lot of money, and he's a special teams standout, that's where his niche and his role can be on the San Francisco 49ers team. That's what he can add to this linebacker room, and it's a guy that you at least know out there. He's been in the system long enough. You can go out there and he can function. He's not going to necessarily play great, but he'll be hopefully in the right spots to be able to make some plays or at least prevent big plays.
Yeah, and they have three undrafted free agent guys that they also have at the linebacker position. I don't know if any of them have an actual opportunity to make this team. Somewhat of a slow development. I think the fact they brought back Jonas Griffith again, he spent some time on the practice squad, and he's a big physical guy, a different style of player from the other guys. I think all the other guys have similar traits and similar size and similar speed. So he's kind of an outlier. So I'm curious what they end up doing with him, because I actually like him and his skill set and what he did in college. But seeing these guys in preseason is going to be fun, just because we get to see how they operate. And this is where linebackers can kind of make a name for themselves. Like, of course, talked about with Greenlaw. That's where he really jumped off and jumped on this, the scene, as we got to see, wow, this guy is legit. You can tell by how someone reads an offense, how they get downhill, and how they stuff people in the hole, whether that is a passive where they let them kind of run them over, or if they put them into the ground and drive them backwards. And that's what Greenlaw did. I think that's what we're going to see from Griffith. He's somebody I'm excited to see in preseason. And then also Justin Hilliard, just what he can do, because there is so much upside there, but he's never quite lived up to the potential. But these guys are going to have an uphill climb, definitely, because the guys in front of them have all started from where they are, but proved that they can do it in the NFL. It's a deep room, and if for some reason they did bring in like a Quan Alexander, it's going to be really rough for anyone else to even come close to making this roster.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's the problem when you have a Super Bowl type roster.
Yep.
It's a good problem, and that you have too many good players. Better luck next year.
Better luck next year, indeed. This linebacker room is a problem for most teams in the NFL. It's a problem for us in terms of how can you get all these guys on the field or give them an opportunity.
Yeah.
Let us know what you think about this linebacker room down below in the comment section right now. Comment away, and while you're down there, don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to share the video as well with the rest of the faithful out there. Let's open up this conversation to all 49ers fans. How do you feel about this linebacker room? Do you like the options we have? Is Fred Warner the best in football? We want to hear from you.
Yeah, we do. We want to hear all about it. There are some good linebacker options for the 49ers, and there are some guys that are hungry and going to be pushing. Will we finally get an emergence of Flanagan Foles? Will Al-Shaair just completely take that job? Or do the 49ers have some secrets up their sleeve, and actually some of these safeties are going to be playing more in the box? Or as Alex is teasing, could it be Quan Alexander?
I like Quan Alexander.
Who doesn't like Quan Alexander?
Brings the energy, that's for sure.
Yeah, come talk to us. Unless you disagree with me, then no, I'm just kidding. Yeah, come and let us know what you think. Let us know how great Fred Warner is. Let us know how pretty I look today. All that.
I don't know necessarily about that last bit, but definitely Fred Warner. Definitely this linebacker room. We want to hear from you. And until next time, 49ers fans, you stay safe.
And remember the right way.
It's always the 49ers way.